would like to pick out certain aspects at which we've looked within the summary table and have a closer look at the economic viability of fuel cells in general, generally in transport. So first of all, I would like to have a look at cars. Specifically, the Toyota Mirai FCV was one of the first vehicles which was commercially available and featured a fuel cell. There's also racing cars using fuel cells, but this is not really a big thing. So I would like to focus on commercially available vehicles. This Toyota vehicle was introduced to the market in 2015, had a range of 502 kilometers, so still a little bit more than the average battery powered vehicle, but not overwhelming. The refill time was significantly shorter, of course, than for battery vehicles, as we just have to refuel hydrogen and not recharge the battery. The price was pretty hefty with $69,000. And even with this $69,000, it was estimated that Toyota makes a loss of approximately 100,000 euros, $100,000 per car with every unit sold. So this means that it is horrifically uneconomical for the company to produce these cars. So this was the reason why BMW, Ford, Daimler, and Nissan abandoned their plans for FCVs, and also Toyota started to pull back from this business as it was simply not really working out and not really competitive with the rise of battery-powered vehicles. Trams and trains, they saw significant investments in China, and China wanted to reduce the running cost of their existing trams and also massively expand their network. This is why they invested a lot of money, not only in the network expansion, but also in supporting new technologies. China has not further investigated in this direction, so at some point they just started to revert back these investments more and more and started to go either with traditional fuel types or with electric versions. So electric versions being battery powered or being powered via pantograph or via the rails. Japan, however, is actually still testing a fuel cell powered train in operation. Looking at ship transport, we can clearly state that fuel cells are not suitable for large, long distance ships. So tankers or good transport of this big transport ships is simply something which is not possible to be powered with a fuel cell. Considering the fact that the fuel cell could be used as some kind of range extender is something pretty attractive, however, and this would be suitable for smaller, short distance or low speed electric vehicles like ferries or ships which are doing like coastal transport. Buses, I've already noticed this point in the very beginning, and you might have been surprised why buses were actually listed very close to uneconomical. And the reason for this is that actually a multitude of cities initiated projects using hydrogen fuel cell buses, which is also kind of a flag carrier concept because, well, if a city can have buses with zero emissions, it is great. Also, the buses can have a central stop where they can be refilled with hydrogen, so there's not excessive infrastructure for hydrogen necessary. However, most of these cities halted the order of new buses and sometimes even the operation of their existing buses because of the very high cost. What all of them stated as the explanation was that simply the cost of operation for hydrogen buses is roughly 6 times higher than the cost of electricity. And this, of course, is a great motivation to use electrified buses via batteries rather than hydrogen fuel cell buses. Another aspect are delivery trucks, so short-term and short-track city traffic, more or less. In 2017, tests were being conducted by UPS, And in 2020, there actually was a commercial vehicle available, or there still is a commercial vehicle available by Hyundai. And there's also plans to extend this market to the European and to the American market broadly by 2022. The last transport I want to look at is aeroplanes. The fuel cell was thought of to be used for crewed and uncrewed aeroplanes, and in 2008 tests were conducted by Boeing, and they constituted that hydrogen fuel cells are unlikely to power the engines of large passenger jets, but they could be used as a backup or as auxiliary power units. So the fuel cell itself simply does not have sufficient sufficient efficiency and also sufficient potential to utilize all of this hydrogen being transported as a fuel to be used to generate thrust via your engines. However, all of this auxiliary power units, for example, on the ground or to power the lights of an airplane or something else, for this, it can pretty much be thought of. And in 2010, there were further developments by Boeing, despite them more or less abandoning this idea of using fuel cells in aeroplanes, and they developed a Phantom Eye UAV being fuel cell powered.